Hello, everyone. This afternoon, we have Michael from Children's Behavioral Health joining us. We are very excited to have him here for one of our PASSHE-West virtual recruitment sessions. So thank you for being here, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and just get started. So if you don't mind kicking things off by just telling us a little bit about your organization and your role within the organization as well.
Sure, Kelsey, thank you very much. And I'd like to say welcome everybody to the new normal that the recruiting companies out there like myself have been able to adjust, being able to have a conversation with everybody. My role is a corporate recruiter for a national company which is called Pathways Incorporated. Now, Pathways operates in over 27 states in the United States, everywhere from Maine to California to Florida to Texas. Pathways is based out of Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is basically a human services behavioral health type of company that operates different types of divisions and specifically for the state of Pennsylvania. Pathways in the state of Pennsylvania operates 4 different businesses. There's Children's Behavioral Health, which covers Western Pennsylvania counties, all the way from Bedford County to Erie County. There's also Pathways Community Services, which covers the eastern part of Pennsylvania, which is kind of a carbon copy of Children's Behavioral Health behavioral services that they offer. There's also 2 other companies that one of them I recruit for is called Raystown Developmental Services. And that operates in Huntington, Mifflin, and Juniata County, which is in the center of the state. That is for individuals with disabilities, adults in specific group homes or even in their residence. There's activities for them, direct care worker type positions, behavioral specialists that they have for that type of company. And the last company is what's called Redco Company, and that operates out in the eastern part of the state. So you can see that Pathways Incorporated in the state of Pennsylvania is pretty busy. For my role is twofold. Obviously, I'm here representing Children's Behavioral Health for any of the students and individuals from the schools that were involved with this. Also, my role is the corporate recruiter for Raystown Developmental Services. And a little bit about Children's Behavioral Health was a small entity that started in basically the core counties, which I'm located is in Cambria County, Somerset County, Blair County, and Indiana and Westmoreland County, and has grown now to cover all of the counties in Western Pennsylvania. Children's Behavioral Health provides services for adolescents anywhere from 2 years old all the way up to 20 years old. For any type of adolescents diagnosed with any type of behavioral or emotional type of conditions. An example of this would be an autistic type of a situation. So when a student or an adolescent of that is diagnosed with having that, they would be referred to Children's Behavioral Health to have services for that adolescent. There is a multitude of positions that we have within the company that the family, along with the physicians and the clinicians, are meeting with the family to kind of put a plan together on the services that we can provide for them. One of the most common services that we provide in a lot of the employment that I do for a lot of the students is for being able to be therapeutic support staff type of individuals for them.
Great. So Michael, what do you find that employees, and if you do have interns, what they like best about your organization?
One of the best things that I have to offer for a lot of them is I explained to them one of our promotion to the company is we're a company without walls. for employees to be able to have a lot of freedom to work with their cases, with the adolescents and the families. You have almost very little action as an employee with members of our company. There's a plan for you to be able to spend time with the adolescents, the family. They give you a lot of freedom. There's a lot of freedom with this position, the positions that we have. A company without walls pretty much means it sounds like everybody's just out there doing whatever they want to do. But one of the benefits we have with that is a lot of flexibility in scheduling. Being able to manage your time with the families and the other members of the position, as far as like the case managers and behavioral specialists and the therapeutic staff and the members of it. So there's a lot of personal gain out of it as far as being able to have flexible time schedules.
Great. What do you feel makes Children's Behavioral Health unique from other organizations that might be like it or maybe are different? What makes it stand out?
One of the things I think that lets us stand out from some of the other competitors is the personal reaction and interaction that you get when you're working with adolescents. There's a certain multitude of different type of organizations that do this on different levels. There's a lot, the time that I've been recruiting, it allows a lot of individuals that take on the therapeutic support staff role. They really get a connection sometimes with the family and with the adolescent, and sometimes they will be with them for a multitude of years, so they can get to see the progress and the success that they're having working their plan, their kind of their organization of how to successfully manage in that adolescent to as they started advancing through years.
Great, thanks. Michael, what do you think is something that most people would be surprised to learn about children's behavioral health?
Probably the expansive role of so many individuals in the company, that there's a large amount of support staff for all of the counties that we have. They sometimes think, well, this is just going to be something that I could, do on the side, or it doesn't turn into. Sometimes I think they're more surprised about how much of a career path that it can be to be in the services of the behavioral services and emotional support services that we have to offer. Sometimes I think it takes them by surprise, thinking that this might be a stepping stone, but next thing you know, they find it more of a career than they ever thought.
That's great. What is something that you look for on a candidate's resume or in their cover letter?
I like to look for indications that show me a little bit of a personal aspect, that they enjoy spending time with adolescents. Not just saying that, quote unquote, me using air quotes, I was a babysitter. My kids have all been babysitters, so that doesn't qualify them to say that, but they do understand the ability to be able to say, it's nice to be able to see some, I'll say it this way, as being a little bit more of the personal aspect of them understanding what it's like to be able to have a connection with an adolescent, being able to see them grow, and be able to see the rewards of your efforts for them to, be able to get along, being able to interact, things that nature, and you can, kind of, tap yourself on the back saying, I did a good job.
That's great. Going off of that a little bit further, do you have any tips on what students or candidates should do and maybe also not do in a job interview?
Probably one of the most, don't emphasize your education, that it's just something that you're looking at as far as, um, let me, be very directive about what you want. I had a conference one time where uh, the conference person said, Mike, I want to have a conversation with you. And we had a mock interview. And he said, when you're having an interview with me, what do you think I'm thinking? And I said, I don't know. And he says, well, if I could put a tattoo across the top of my head, it's going to say, what's in it for me? And that's sometimes a conversation when you're having an interview. It's like, yeah, well, you know what, let me know that. Don't let me try to think that. Just go ahead and ask me that. Hey, Mike, what's in it for me? And I can be able to tell them, the rewards of it, of being able to understand uh, the the complexity of being able to have that relationship with adolescents. That tattoo across the head, sometimes all you have to do is say it to an interviewer, and I'd love to hear that. This way I can know that they're honest about what time the time and effort that I have having a conversation with them, that they're truly interested, and that I'm truly interested based on the information that I get from them.
That's great. Michael, can you talk about any opportunities that are currently available for alumni, our upcoming graduates here in the next couple months or next month or so, any current students with children behavioral health?
Yes, I can say that, in the past few years, this has always been the heart of the time in the year for the company to be aggressively hiring. One of the primary first into, I'll say, entry level type of a position is a therapeutic support staff position. These are commonly, positions where the therapeutic staff position can be part-time or full-time. You will have, multitude of a case manager, a behavioral specialist, a regional director. There's mental health professionals that are also along with you. But a lot of the graduates that I have coming out that will be what my regional directors and case managers are interviewing for is a therapeutic staff position. Can be either home-based work, community-based work, or school-based work. And school-based work is probably the most common that everybody would recognize. A TSS in the classroom and being able to work with an adolescent in the classroom on a set schedule. It could be something as little as maybe 2 hours a day, every day of the week, that you would work with that adolescent in the same classroom every day, working with the teacher, trying to follow along with lesson plans, the activities inside, the activities within the classroom, the physical education classes or the lunchtime, assistance of that nature. It can be a variation of all of that. It could be anywhere from one student to multiple students that they have. The therapeutic staff support position right now for me for the Children's Behavioral Health in Western Pennsylvania will be probably in the 50 plus positions by the fall, by the beginning of the fall school year. A lot of, obviously, as we all know, the students that are at home right now, a lot of my TSSs are doing some home and community-based work right now since they're not in the classroom. I can also say this from experience because my wife's been a teacher for 20 years and she's had a multitude of TSSs in her classroom. Some of them have been from my company, from Children's Behavioral Health. They find it, very rewarding. They understand, what it's like to be able to work with that student, and also working with the family to let them see how they're progressing in the classroom. Like I said, so that's one of the most common entry level positions that a lot of the companies or a lot of the counties that I have are really going to be having a large a multitude of interviews. Right now, I know 7 of my regional directors will be scheduling interviews. We will initially be doing phone interviews. Within the next 2 months, there will be initial phone interviews with resumes that come in. Regional directors will be following those up, and then they will set up face-to-face interviews based on the county where the individual is interested in. That, along with the therapeutic support staff, there's also behavioral specialists. Those are more of the master's level candidates that will be interested in that. And also we have a lot of mental health workers, and there's also some office positions in that nature. Like I said, all of Western Pennsylvania, regional counties, there's always different types of positions that we have through our website.
Great. Michael, we had a question come in. What is the position that you recommend for students while they are in school?
Probably the most common position for that would be a TSS, which would be on a part-time basis. That's another, a lot of the students that come on board will take that. And that could be, and I use that as an example, say for instance, if that student is going to Slippery Rock, and there is a school district in that area that would have a adolescent that would need services from Children's Behavioral Health. While you are a student, you could go to that school during the day and spend a couple hours as a TSS working while you're still going to school. And that's an option that we have with a lot of that. Again, that would depend on the school. I know, for instance, IUP, there's a lot of school districts around IUP that we do have TSSs that work part-time and still go to IUP. That's one of the closest schools from me right here, so I know that for a fact. I've hired numerous TSSs from my regional director that do work part-time. And again, it would just be something maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, maybe 3 days a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'll go to school, work with an adolescent as a part-time while you're still pursuing your education and finishing that.
Great. Michael, can you talk about what majors you generally hire students? Are there specific ones that you target or you tend to see a lot of candidates come from? And can you also talk about internships? Do you have any internship opportunities?
I'll answer the second part first. Internships is something that we are working on. That's something that we do not currently have. We're starting a pilot program with the Pathways Community Services in Eastern PA for an internship program that they're working on that. But for me right now, for Children's Behavioral Health for Western Pennsylvania, the counties that I cover, I do not have an internship program in place for that.
Okay.
The first part of the question, repeat?
Yeah. Which majors do you generally hire students?
Majors for those types of positions, obviously psychology is a large majority of them, sociology, all education degrees. Whether it's elementary education, secondary education, even education as far as, I'll just say it, I'll open it up to any education major, sociology, psychology, even criminal justice, criminology is another one also.
Okay.
That is another one that we have as one of our acceptable ones. Now, some of the other ones that we can, some of the requirements for some of them could be as far as English majors, those types of, they're acceptable. Every position has different requirements for it, but all the education majors and sociology, psychology, and criminal justice, criminology.
Great. Michael, so we have some students, a good majority of students attend school online, and they may attend a school in Western PA but live in another part of the state or in a different state entirely. Who should they contact to determine which of the 4 divisions is the best fit for them?
They can reach out to me directly, or if they're through Handshake, they can. Also,
Okay.
through our website. If you specifically go to pathwaysofpa.com, that will give you an overview of the 4 companies. And if you click on apply here, you can put in your zip code. And even if you are, for instance, going to school at Slippery Rock and maybe you live in Harrisburg, you would put in the zip code for the location that you're in, and it will give you all of the jobs for all of the companies within a 50 up to 100-mile radius from that zip code. So not only you're just going to see any of those companies. Now, if you also would live in Maryland, you the same process, pathwaysofmd.com, pathwaysofpa.com, that all you do is substitute the PA for OH for Ohio, MD for Maryland, VA obviously for Virginia. We cover Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, New York, New Jersey, again, the Connecticut, Northeast, basically all of the Northeast. So you can find something from an outlying state other than Pennsylvania.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. As we wrap up our time here together, is there one piece of information you'd like to leave with students?
Well, the biggest thing I could say is don't underestimate some of the positions that you might look at it as a position that you might not be interested in until you really give it a thought process or the effort of actually having the conversation. 5-minute conversation can really give you an idea on what you think that the job might be based on what you read and what my job listing might say, and actually having a conversation with me. Those could be 3 different things. But actually just reaching out, if it's an email just saying, Michael, I read about this position. Could I have 5 minutes of your time? Absolutely. Let's talk about it really quick, because it might change your mind a little bit more about what you read. What's in black and white sometimes can be explained a little bit better and give you a better view of what the job might be just by having a 5-minute conversation with me.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I think there was a lot of great information shared here today. So I know anyone that's watching certainly is going to learn a lot about children's behavioral health and the opportunities that you have available. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time, everybody.
Thanks.